President Tinubu, in an emergency, has suspended the River State governor. Sorry, please. President Tinubu has declared a state of emergency in River State, citing the prolonged political crisis and governance paralysis. In a nationwide emergency broadcast on Tuesday, Tinubu announced the immediate suspension of Governor Sim Fubara, his deputy, and all members of the State House of Assembly for 6 months. I feel greatly disturbed by the political crisis in Rivers. The state has been at a standstill and the people have been deprived of good governance, Tinubu said. He noted that 14 months after Governor Fubara demolished the House of Assembly complex, it remains unrebuilt despite multiple intervention efforts. No responsible president will stand by without taking action. To restore good governance and peace in this circumstance, it has become imperative to declare a state of emergency, he stated. The president appointed retired Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas as administrator to oversee the state's affairs. The declaration follows rising tension in Rivers, exacerbated by an explosion of an oil facility in Ogba, Igbema, Ndoni local government area. Earlier the same day, the Trans-Niger pipeline operated by Shell Petroleum Development Company, SPDC, went up in flames, further escalating the crisis. For the people of Rivers State, this intervention raises deep concerns. While some may see it as a necessary step to restore order, others fear it sets a dangerous precedent for democratic governance. With key elected officials suspended and an administrator taking charge, questions arise about representation, stability, and the future of political reconciliation in the state. For now, Rivers remains on certain ground, caught between political intervention and a hope for genuine peace and development. When this report broke yesterday as regards the declaration of the state of emergency in Rivers State and the suspension of the governor and the installing of an administrator, what comes to mind? What are your thoughts on this report?
Well, I feel on this report, I feel the federal government have gone too far in this and bringing this to play. I believe there are still better ways of resolving this than pushing on the state of emergency, because there are some steps that ought to be taken before that. For now, to me, River State have not really gotten to that level when it comes to crisis. The crisis have not been high, have not been heated that will warrant state of emergency. But I feel that also that the presidency can also look at his statement and see how there can be a revocation on that, but thereby calling forth.
But usually when a state of emergency, as regards declaring a state of emergency, the president is able to do that by Section 305 of the Constitution when there is threat to life and property of a people. Don't you think that is the route he tended towards into declaring the state of emergency?
Otare, let me tell you, you just mentioned something. You said threat to life. Can I put it to you that in River State, for now, there's no threat of life.
But there's been bombing.
Can I tell you the only threat of life we have in River State is hunger and starvation, and that is a national affair. The threat of life we have in River State and Nigeria is hunger, and it's a national affair. So please, I would think the presidency should look into that direction. There's hunger and starvation in Nigeria.
But pipelines are being blown, and that affects the Nigerian, the Nigerian community, as it were.
Should we also look at we should also, if the presidency is looking at pipelines against the survival of Nigeria, you should also look at banditry and Boko Haram in Borno State. Have they enacted such? Borno State needs this state of emergency. Is Borno State not in Nigeria? I served in Katsina State. In fact, I was supposed to serve in Borno State. If you check my NYC, it is stated Borno State, but we couldn't serve in we couldn't camp in Borno State. I camped in Katsina, in Mani to be precise. We couldn't camp there. Now for this thing, Professor Babaduga was the governor then, but we could not camp in Borno State. Now Borno State have passed through some level of insurgency. As I'm talking to you, you cannot go into Borno State now There are some hours that you can step in. And in this state and other states that are close by, it has not been enacted of that state of emergency. You see, Rivers State is peaceful for crying out loud. Let me put it to you. Let me tell you, and let me inform the masses that Rivers State is peaceful. How? We have businesses are going on where people are moving. This is just it's just an issue of executive and legislation, of which they can harmonize this in their course.
But hold on. The president has come through to try to broker peace between the governor and the legislature, like you rightly said, because that is, that basically was part of his reason for calling on the state of emergency, because of the heightened issues that has brought about, which might also, as it were, I don't know, they said he did say when after being briefed on a security report, might have been his reason for also calling for the state of emergency, given that this crisis, the executive, like you said, the governor and the legislature didn't look for a way to bridge this, even though the president did come in to try to create a medium for peace for this.
You're not talking about bridging the peace, that the presidency is coming to bridge peace. Should I tell you where the presidency also need to also bridge peace? Should I tell you? Now, at this Senate arm, which is the apex angle, there are some issues between this Senate president and Natasha. The president should also come into that and bridge peace. Now, see, I'm seeing it that there's an eye on River State, and of which, because if there's not a I don't want to use the word being bias. If there's no eye in River State, that of the Senate, there is bridge of peace in the Senate. As I'm talking to you, the Senate that are not in coalition, that there's no atom of unity among the persons there. We should bring in peace in there. Has it placed such?
But there was no bomb blast in the Senate. There was no bombing of pipelines in the Senate.
Oh! Are you expecting? This what we have? We have been a bomb blast that could be embarrassing to Nigeria. It's more than bomb blast, because this is bringing to fore. It's bringing to fore.
Whatever issues Natasha had with the Senate President Akpabio does not translate to the loss of life, of property or livelihood of the people in the Senate. The whole idea for this call of emergency was drawn as regards the issues that we currently have in River State.
Now, looking at the issues that we currently have in River State is an issue that can be dialogued.
Okay.
That can be now on the part of.
Do you think channels for dialogue has been opened in the case in River State?
Yes, there's a few channels, of which I could remember the governor of the state,
okay,
and a few elders went to meet the president. That's to show at the level at which River State want peace. In River State, we are lover of peace.
Okay.
We harbor peace and we love unity. These elders went to meet him. They did not neglect the president. They did not say for the fact that it is a Rivers-based affair that they went to him, and concurrently they have been meeting him, not one, not twice. They've met him. They've dialogued. I was thinking, in his own place, as a father, the president is the father of the nation.
All right.
As a father, he come into no. Let's put this to not state of emergency.
Now, the president, if I want to, let me refresh your memory a little bit. After all aggrieved parties seated with the president, the peace was brokered. It was signed. You go on and do this. You go on and do that. And according to the president, that attempt did not still go through, as regards everybody came back and decided to continue in the scuffle that they had going on, and that peace, treaty as its were, if I would call it that, was not accepted. Right. That is, don't you think that is an effort of the president in a way to settle this matter as a father, as regards going out the 9 mile as regards this whole state of emergency?
Otara, you will not say that it was not accepted. It was, because the two parties came back home, but like when once some persons have there's an anger have risen, they cannot just shade in the anger immediately. It takes time to when once there's a war, once there's an issue on ground that have been tensed, it takes time for normalcy to come into place. So the two parties, they've been going, like I could see that there was a time the governor in his simplicity went to the House of Assembly, and what it was shown that the gates were being shut on him.
Now, did he go to the House of Assembly? I don't know. I would have put. I don't know if you were privy to the full report as regards what the the president had to say when he read the whole report from yesterday night, taming towards the whole shutdown of what's it called, the suspension of the president.
Yes,
and you did listen. And over in that report,
28th Supreme Court.
Prior to him mentioning that judgment, he did go ahead to talk about the fact that the House of Assembly quarters was demolished by the state governor. Now, the governor has not rebuilt that in over 2 years.
No.
That is what this is not me. This is what the president said in that press briefing. That over time they've tried to negotiate and talk to the governor rather, so they could rebuild that place for sitting. Where the governor went to is actually the house of the the living quarters for the House of Assembly members. And according to them, they did not get the letter on his coming.
Okay. Otara, can I also ask a question? Is it in the place of the governor to use his personal money to build a House of Assembly for the state? No, this will come also in the budget of the state. Right. It will be in the budget of the state that social fund, social amount after the social amount will be apportioned for what, building of what, House of Assembly. It is not. It's not the governor's house, or it's not for his own personal benefit.
Are you saying that there's been no budget?
No.
2024 budget was was actually given, wasn't it?
24, but the Supreme Court said that the 24 budget should also be revisited. Of which can we also tell that if we check in that budget that this is not there? No, let's not speak for the governor. Let's not speak for the executive. Who knows if either in what 2024 budget that will be revisited, or the 2025 budget that will be sent, if this is there. Now, this is what we call is a conclude and base assumption that this have not been done, because you and I know that it takes.
But when you say assumption, is it done? Is the building rebuilt?
The building is not, as I'm talking to you, is not rebuilt, but now, but as I'm talking to you, the Supreme Court has given a verdict.
Right.
That the governor or the executive should submit 2024 should revisit 2024 budget, right. And that of 2025 and maybe 2026 also will also follow suit. But okay, let's not, if as he went that day and maybe they collected it from me and they saw that there is no place for rebuilding of the House of Assembly, then this can also too. But they have not seen the budget.
Mr. Krika, now when the governor before he went over there, the House of Assembly, it was reported by Honorable Inini Judge, that they sent a copy of and what's it called? They sent a letter to the governor to appear before the assembly in 48 hours. Do you think that was a channel to open conversation with the governor after the Supreme Court judgment?
Yes, that was a channel.
Now, the governor said he did not get that letter.
Okay.
Right? Do you think the official channel of communication should be by these letters?
No.
Because if you look at it now, on one hand, the governor said he didn't get their letter. They claimed, according to a press briefing that was made by Honorable Inemi Judge on Monday, he said that the letters they sent people to deliver the letters and they were beaten up, and they now decided to use the courier service, which was still turned back. Okay. Right? Now, by that report, that means they made an effort to reach out to open up a channel for conversation. Right. Now, when that happened, and the governor did, did claim that they said the letters were not received. Now, the House of Assembly has said, oh, the letter you sent to us that you were coming was equally not received. When you look at it, you find out that everybody is aggrieved in all of this. I'm sure we've been a little bit abreast with all of the scuffle that has gone on in River State, over time. Right. The idea is, when you look at this matter critically, how do you think peace would have been brokered in a way that it did not get to this level that we are in now?
Okay. Other than that, let's look at this. You mentioned something that the House of Assembly gave in 48 hours.
All right.
For the governor to send his message. Now, there was a breach of communication. Now, in chain of communication, we have we have the sender
Mm.
to the receiver, and there's a feedback which is passed through the source, the message and the channel. Now, where the breach of communication was in the channel, because the sender have already sent in 48 hours, and the receiver said he did not receive or eventually, and there was a breach. Now, there's a place for if there's a place where we call for peace and harmony, you can still resend that message all over and all over again to clear every reasonable doubt. So before you're taking any decision. Now, the governor on his own part came.
Okay.
He went by himself, and it was even showed on air that he went, and the gate was shut.
Now, while all this
and as a man of peace, now do you know that
while all this has happened, as regards who is peaceful and who is trying to start a scuffle, what is the way forward?
Okay, now the way forward, because in all said and done, our discussion should be geared towards the way forward.
Right.
Now, the way forward is, I am not saying the presidency has done its own bits by involving in the issues.
Okay.
As granted to River State. He has done his fatherly bits. But I'm also saying that he on his own part can also, because if you flog a child with right hand, you draw the child with left hand.
Right.
Now, he has given some measures. I'm also saying, if in his own mind can please retrieve the statement and let.
Which of the statements do you want to retrieve?
The state of emergency.
The state of emergency.
And see how.
Do you know that?
If they did not resolve, let it be that this came as like a punishment or a cane. Like, let me use the word like a threat to them to calm down. So if maybe after this, even maybe after 2 or 3 months, and maybe this whole issue have not been resolved, then he can still step back. Because now, as it stands now, both parties, they've seen.
They are currently suspended.
They are currently suspended.
Right.
That is based on the suspension that I'm talking about.
Okay.
That if he can retrieve the suspension.
Okay.
And the state of emergency, and make it look like he only threatened them so they can sit up. And if after this they don't sit up, there's no peace, there's no harmony in the state, then he can still forge ahead. I believe there's still a place for second chance. Are we not? We are all a religion. We pray for second chance. You and I, we've offended God how many times? He has, in his own power, he has forgiven us. And you will say maybe we are not God, but he created us in his own image.
Right.
So the president is a father. He's our father.
Right.
He's the grand commander of the nation. But let him also temper justice with mercy, and looking towards this direction that I've said. And maybe in the space of 1 or 2 months, if there's no mercy, then he can go back to his verdict.
Great. Given that you're a political analyst, as it were, I want to also gather your thoughts as regards what is the fate of democracy. Now, if you look at this, according to Section 305, and the NBA has come out to say, oh, this is not tenable. You don't have a right to suspend an elected governor and elected House of Assembly will be voted in by their constituents. Right. And now the River State House of Assembly has come to say, oh, it's okay, we don't mind the president's decision, even though the NBA has said it's an infringement on the right of the governor and the assembly, and also an infringement on the right of the Rivers people. I want you to look at that report, that part of the report, and tell me your thoughts as regards what is now the fate of democracy.
Now, if we're looking at the word democracy, is defined as the government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Right.
But I doubt in Nigeria if we practice democracy. Let's go to Fela's affirmation that what we practice in Nigeria is democracy. Then the grace, demonstration of Christness. Of Christness, yes. That's what we are demonstrating in Nigeria. We are demonstrating Christness. Now, because in the whole thing, in Nigeria, since from 1999, we are struggling to enjoy democracy. I'm not saying we've never enjoyed democracy, or we are not, but we are struggling to enjoy democracy in its fullness.
Okay.
Now, democracy should be a society whereby the least common man has a view. This common man has a view in the affairs of the country, in the affairs of the states, whereby the masses, whereby there's an extinction of class.
Okay.
Between the bourgeoisies and the peasants. That is what we're talking about. a democracy. A democracy whereby you can also suggest to the government that the price of fuel should be sold in this amount, and it will what? Your view also will count. That's democracy. But I'm talking to you in Nigeria. The view of the peasants have not been consulted, have not been taken to book, have not been adhered to. Okay, let's look at the issue of fuel and our basic amenities, food and all that. It's on the high side, and Nigerians have cried, have lamented, and to the extent that there's no more tears again. There's nobody. In fact, everybody have just gone to. We've just gone to the bed of status quo, whichever way and what way you find yourself. Just survive. Just look for a way and survive. So if we are bringing the word democracy into Nigeria, I doubt if we have that in Nigeria. The Nigerian government for so long ago have never practiced democracy. What we have is authoritative government. Let's be frank to ourselves. We are all Nigerians who should not hide things when it comes to ourselves. Within us in Nigeria, we've never practiced democracy. We only use it. It is like a headline news.
But you do feel that the governor of Rivers State is democratically elected?
Yes.
And also, the speakers, the House of Assembly members are democratically elected?
Yes.
Now, because of the right of the president, Section 305 permits the president to call on a state of emergency, right? But that same subsection 5 did not permit the president rather, to suspend the governor or suspend voted in House of Assembly members.
It does not permit.
Now, it does not permit, but this has now been done, and they are currently suspended for 6 months. I want to gather your thoughts as regards this 6 months. What is the fate of Rivers people? You reside in Rivers State.
Yes.
What would the fate of Rivers people be moving forward? We currently have Admiral Ibas taking over the reins and affairs of the state. What to expect? Are you of the opinion that maybe after 6 months we will try to there will be some form of brokering of peace? Do you think that this should be challenged as regards, oh no, maybe we are saying the court should say, because MB has said this morning that this is unconstitutional. There's nowhere in the constitution that makes provision for you to exert such powers as regards suspending a governor and House of Assembly members. I want to gather your thoughts in that regard.
Tara, first of all, in Rivers State, there's no provision of the constitution that gives room for the governor and the people that democratically elected to be suspended.
Right.
Now, on that part, okay, let's look at if at all this happens. Let's assume that it happens for the period of 6 months. In Rivers State, we've suffered. Rivers State, we've suffered. In this past few years of issues that have been rocking Rivers State, we cannot really account for good governance, because it's been said that when 2 elephants fight, the grass suffers. Right. Now, okay, let's watch. There's some allocation of Rivers State have not been sent. So how do governors feel? And as I'm talking to you, allocation have not been sent to Rivers State, but on daily basis, the oil in Rivers State is being exported. So is it that are we saying that you should beat a child and the child should not cry? No, Rivers State we've suffered a lot. The federal government should look inwards and look into Rivers State. We are suffering. We don't need state of emergency in Rivers State. What we need love and unity. There are some things that should be built in Rivers State. In Rivers State, we don't have universities. We need more of federal-owned universities. We need things in Rivers State. We need basic amenities. We need health center. We need things that will push the state forward, not state of emergency, not suspending the government. That will not boost the economy of Rivers State. Rivers State, we are suffering. Yes, we are suffering. Look at the height of it. We are suffering. We have some mothers and fathers that are fishermen and that are going to farm. They are suffering on daily basis. That's not what we need in River State. Let them better the lives of River State. We should be accountable for our oil. Yes, our oil is being exported, yet there's no development in River State. And go to other states. In that state, they have how many universities? Go to Ogun State. In River State, we have war. That is the issue that at your crying.
No.
We have so many multinational companies in River State that do not fit in River State.
Now, don't you think that the reason this has not happened as regards growth is because of this peace that has not been brokered by the executive and the legislature?
Now, listen, let me draw you to China things fall apart.
Okay.
He says he says the white man has placed a knife in her neck and things are falling apart. It has placed a knife against the unity of this. Now, the multinational companies and the federal government is doing is to place a knife in between our peace, and things are falling apart in River State.
But it wasn't the national. It wasn't the dispute didn't come from the national. The dispute is a River State dispute of River State sons who are meant to be upholding the right of Rivers people who are elected to serve Rivers people to move the state forward, and they have not been able to broker peace for over 2 years.
Now, can I put it to you? If you're a mother of 2 sons and the 2 sons are fighting,
right,
do you kill them? Yes. Answer me. Will you kill your 2 sons? Your sons are fighting, and you're the mother or you're the father. Do you kill the 2 sons? No, you will not kill them. Rather, you still call them yours, because if they are fighting, you still be able to settle them. What the federal government is doing is to kill. If you kill the 2 sons, yes, that's what they are doing. They're trying to kill us.
But when you try, let me come in. Which this your example you gave. You said you have 2 sons and you're trying to broker peace.
Yes.
Between 2 sons. Now, if these 2 sons seemingly are going to kill each other in your face, don't you think the best idea might be, let me send one of them to stay with my sister for a bit so that I can look for a way to leverage some level of peace between them?
And if what if you know that your sister cannot even fend herself, cannot take care of herself? Your sister have nothing to offer.
Would you rather they stay together and kill each other?
As the mother, you should have assets on the ground. You have them. You have them. They are yours. You know how to control that temperament. What they are doing is control their temperament. For that means for them not to fight, you control their temperament. That's the place of a mother or a father.
Exactly. What if you have controlled the temperament and all attempts to leverage peace hasn't worked?
There's no way. Let me tell you. There's nothing there's never been. There's never been a water that have been boiling that will not cool. Anything that hot must be cold. Right. That is so. No matter what is being tense in River State, this is not the first time we are having this in River State. This is not the first time. How about in the previous governance in terms of right on that the House of Assembly was shut down and lawyers were on hold for a year and heaven did not fall. So the issue is that bringing these measures to book will not kill them. Rather, it will raise more uproar. Because as I'm talking to you, the local governments that were suspended, they also angry because most of them they worked and they've not been paid. So must we dig sand from inside our house to cover the one outside? No. You dig from outside to cover inside. Must we in every action of resolving peace, we create more troubles to resolve? We create more troubles. No, we should see on how to settle an everlasting political crisis in River State.
Mr. Africa, so what are your recommendations?
My recommendation, I am still going back to my status quo. What I said earlier, that the only recommendation is that this suspension should be retrieved by our dear president. Our dear president and father, he should retrieve this 6-month suspension from both the legislative and the executive. No Victor, no Vangush. Please, I only did this as a warning to you. This is my place. I only place this.
Do you think that would make them to leverage that and turn a piece?
It will, because do you know why the two parties they were pushing on this was because they felt that one feels that he will win, the other feels that he will win. That is fight. If the both of us we are fighting, I feel that I'm a lion to you while you're a sheep, and you also feel that you are a lion to me. So it is in the place of our fight that we'll know who is the winner. So for now, they've seen. I believe for now they must have seen that there is a higher power that can also bring them to what to normacy. So in his own mind, he should see on how he will retrieve. My own is on the retrieving of a statement of the 6-month suspension and allow Rivers State, let's enjoy democracy.